If you are still breathing after 60, it's not a coincidence. It's a confirmation. God kept you here because there's something inside you that this world still needs. You are not here by mistake. You are here by divine intention. You're not being retired. You're being refined. This is not the end of your story. This is a new chapter that heaven has been preparing all along. Every year you've lived, every challenge you've faced, every tear you've cried has been shaping you for what's coming next. You didn't go through all that to stop now. God didn't bring you this far to leave you sitting on the sidelines. You see, life has a way of convincing people that growing older means slowing down, that your time has passed, that you should just settle for watching others fulfill their dreams. But God says, I'm still doing a work in you. You are being refined like gold in the fire, not to be diminished, but to be purified, strengthened, and made more valuable. The years you've lived weren't wasted, they were preparation. You've walked through storms that younger generations can't even imagine, and yet you're still standing. That's not weakness. That's divine endurance. That's the mark of someone who's been through the process and come out stronger. When you look back at your life, you can see the hand of God shaping you, protecting you, preparing you, even when you didn't understand it. Every disappointment was a lesson. Every delay was a redirection, and every loss was God making room for something greater. You may not be where you thought you'd be, but you're right where God needs you to be for this season. You're not behind schedule, you're in divine alignment. Sometimes God will take you through a refining process just to remind you that your value doesn't diminish with age, it deepens. Think about a diamond. It doesn't sparkle until it's cut. You've been cut by life, yes, but now you shine with wisdom, compassion, and spiritual depth. The things that used to break you no longer shake you because you've learned how to trust God through the fire. You've learned that peace doesn't come from having everything perfect. It comes from knowing that God is still in control. You're not done because God doesn't retire his warriors. He reassigns them. When he refines you, he's removing what no longer serves your purpose so you can walk fully in your next season. You've got too much experience, too much grace, too much testimony to fade into the background now. The world needs what you carry. The younger generation needs your voice, your guidance, your prayers. You have been refined to become a vessel of wisdom and power, not to sit quietly, but to stand boldly and remind others that purpose doesn't fade, it matures. So if you woke up this morning, take it as heaven's announcement that your mission isn't over. You're still in the game. The fire inside you hasn't gone out. It's just being reignited. You are being polished, not punished. You're not done. You're being prepared for your greatest impact yet. God is not taking away from you. He's revealing what's always been within you. You are living proof that when God refines, he doesn't replace, he restores. And if you're still breathing, you're still being refined for divine purpose. Doesn't have an expiration date. It doesn't fade with time or grow weaker with age. It evolves. What you were called to do at 20 might look different at 60, but it is no less powerful, no less meaningful, and no less divine. You see, God doesn't measure your purpose by your pace. He measures it by your obedience. The assignment may shift, the stage may change, but the anointing remains. Just because the world tells you to slow down doesn't mean heaven has stopped calling your name. You may not have the same energy you once did, but what you have now is something far more valuable, wisdom. You have learned what matters and what doesn't. You've learned the sound of God's voice in the chaos. You've learned the strength of waiting, the power of prayer, and the grace of surrender. You've learned to walk with God not because you had to, but because you've seen what happens when you try to do it without him. That wisdom, That spiritual maturity is the evolution of purpose. God never wastes a season. When you were younger, your purpose might have been about building, conquering, achieving. But now your purpose may be about pouring, mentoring, guiding. It may be about speaking into lives that are still finding their way. You've become a well of experience and understanding, and God is calling you to pour from it. Purpose isn't just about doing, it's about being the light, being the example, being the encouragement someone else needs to keep going. When you walk into a room now, your presence carries weight because you've lived through enough to know what peace costs. You've fought battles that made you wiser. You've endured loss and still found a reason to love. That kind of strength cannot be taught. It's cultivated through time. That's what it means for purpose to evolve. It becomes less about performance and more about presence. It becomes less about proving yourself and more about positioning yourself where God can use you best. Think of a tree that's been standing for decades. Its branches may no longer stretch as far, but its roots run deep. It provides shade, shelter, and fruit for those around it. It's not in its spring anymore, but it's more stable than ever. That's what your purpose looks like now, deeply rooted, quietly powerful, and unshakably grounded in faith. Don't ever believe the lie that your best days are behind you. They're not, they're being redefined. God doesn't need you to be young to use you. He needs you to be willing. He doesn't require speed. He desires surrender. Every morning you wake up, you're standing in new mercies, which means new opportunities to make an impact. You still have the ability to shift atmospheres, to change lives, to speak words that heal, to plant seeds that will outlive you. So yes, purpose evolves. It grows wiser, deeper, and more intentional. The energy of youth may fade, but the fire of calling never does. God's not looking for the strongest or the fastest. He's looking for the faithful. And if you are still breathing, that means your faith still has work to do, your voice still has power, and your life still has purpose. The very breath in your lungs is proof that your assignment on this earth is still active. Every inhale and exhale you take is a divine reminder that God is not through with you yet. You are alive today because heaven still has something that only you can accomplish. You are not here to simply exist. You are here to fulfill. Breath is not just oxygen, it's purpose in motion. When God breathed life into Adam, that same breath carried destiny. And as long as that breath flows through you, so does destiny. Sometimes we underestimate the significance of simply being alive. You may have survived sickness, loss, disappointments, heartbreaks, and yet you're still here. That means you've been preserved for a reason. There were moments you thought you wouldn't make it, times you didn't see a way forward. But look at you, still breathing, still standing, still believing. That's not random. That's purpose breathing through your pain. You made it through storms that should have destroyed you because God's hand is still on you. You woke up today because there's something left for you to build, someone left for you to bless, something left for you to release. Every breath you take is heaven's way of saying, I still need you. You are not a leftover from your generation. You are a carrier of legacy. You are a torchbearer for those coming after you. There are dreams that still need your touch, prayers that still need your voice, and battles that still need your presence. You've got prayers to pray that will shape the lives of your children and grandchildren. You've got words of wisdom that will heal someone's broken spirit. You've got experiences that will open doors of understanding for those who've never walked your path. Don't think your breath is insignificant. It carries creative power. When you speak, heaven listens. When you pray, mountains move. When you encourage, hearts lift. That's the authority that comes with life. God didn't keep you here to fade away quietly. He kept you to declare his goodness in the land of the living. Your breath is your weapon. Use it to speak life, not defeat, faith, not fear, victory, not victimhood. When you wake up and breathe in the morning, you're breathing in God's mercy. When you exhale, you're releasing His purpose. Breath means there's still more for you to do, more love to give, more faith to live out, more truth to stand for. Some people didn't live to see this day, but you did. That means your work isn't over. You are still a vessel being used by God to shape this world in ways you may not even see yet. So the next time you feel weary, remind yourself, as long as I'm breathing, I'm not done. As long as there's air in your body, there's divine work still being written through you. You may not know all the details, but you don't need to. All you need to know is that your breath has purpose. You are still part of God's plan. And every moment that you draw in breath, you are confirming to heaven and to hell alike, I'm still here, I'm still chosen, and my assignment is still alive. Your wisdom is not just a collection of memories, it is someone else's roadmap to break through. Every lesson you've learned, every mistake you've made, every battle you've overcome carries divine intelligence that someone else desperately needs. You've walked through valleys and come out with understanding that can save someone else from falling into the same pit. You've been through storms, not just for your survival, but to show others how to stand when the winds of life start to blow. Your life is a living textbook of God's faithfulness, a manual filled with experiences that can guide others through their darkest moments. There's a generation rising up that needs what you know. They are searching for answers in places you've already been delivered from. They're wrestling with questions you've already learned to give to God. They need to hear your voice, to feel your encouragement, to see your example of steadfast faith. Don't ever underestimate the power of your story. You may think no one wants to hear about what I've been through, but someone's deliverance is hidden in your testimony. Someone's healing is waiting on your honesty. Someone's courage will awaken when they hear how you made it through. You carry treasures that time has refined, the wisdom of patience, the strength of endurance, the peace that only comes from walking with God through fire. Younger hearts need to hear about the times you trusted when it didn't make sense, the moments you prayed when you didn't see results, the seasons you forgave when it hurt to let go. That's the kind of wisdom that transforms lives, the kind that gives hope to those who feel like giving up. The world is full of noise, but very little guidance. You, however, have the clarity that comes from having lived, fallen, risen, and learned. You're not called to compete with the younger generation. You're called to complete them. You are the bridge that connects their energy with your insight, their passion with your perspective. Your presence can turn confusion into confidence because you've seen God's promises come true again and again. When you speak, don't just speak from what you read, speak from what you've lived. That's where the power lies, in experience anointed by grace. Even your quiet strength speaks volumes. The way you handle pressure, the way you carry peace, the way you love unconditionally, those are sermons without words. People are watching how you live, how you endure, how you continue to believe, and they are learning faith by observing your faithfulness. You are someone's mentor without even realizing it. You are someone's answered prayer in human form. So don't hide your wisdom, release it. Don't shrink your story, share it. There are people waiting for the light that only your journey can provide. You've already paid the price for the wisdom you carry. Now it's time to pass it on, whether through words, actions, or presence. Let what God has taught you flow freely. You are not just a survivor. You are a teacher of survival. You are not just blessed. You are a blessing in motion. The breakthrough someone is praying for might come through the wisdom you've already earned. Rise again, rekindle what you thought was gone, release what God placed within you long ago. There are still dreams buried in your spirit that God is calling to the surface. Maybe life pushed them down. responsibilities, disappointments, or fear. But they never died. They've been waiting for this moment, waiting for you to believe again. You might think it's too late, that you've missed your chance, but God doesn't operate by human timelines. He restores years, He redeems lost time, and He breathes life back into what you thought was over. You are still a vessel of divine fire, and it's time to stir up what's been lying dormant. There's still a spark inside you, no matter how long it's been since you felt it. That spark is your faith. That spark is your purpose. You just need to give it permission to burn again. God didn't put gifts in you to fade away with age. He placed them there to serve generations. The wisdom, the creativity, the compassion, the leadership, the discernment, those are eternal seeds, and seeds don't lose power with time. They just wait for the right season to grow. This is that season. You're not being called to start over. You're being called to start again. Maybe you used to teach, lead, write, serve, pray, or inspire, and somewhere along the line, life got heavy. But deep down, you know there's something in you that still wants to bless others. You can feel it every time you see someone struggling, every time you sense that tug in your spirit. That's God saying, I'm not done using you. Don't let the voices of doubt silence the call of destiny. You are still equipped. You are still chosen. And you still have something to give. Rekindle your fire by remembering what once made you come alive. Remember the joy of helping someone. Remember the peace that came from serving. Remember how it felt when God used your words to touch a life. Those moments weren't random. They were glimpses of your true self, the version of you that heaven still sees. That person isn't gone. They're just waiting for permission to rise again. Release what God has placed within you. Don't let it stay trapped behind fear, regret, or hesitation. What's inside you isn't meant to die with you. It's meant to flow through you. Your words, your talents, your faith, your kindness, those are the tools God will use to impact lives long after you're gone. You are a conduit of heaven's power. You don't have to be famous to make a difference. You just have to be faithful. Your obedience can shift atmospheres. Your prayers can change generations, and your presence can bring peace to those in chaos. Every great move of God begins with a person who decides to rise again. So rise not because everything is perfect, but because you refuse to let fear dictate your future. Rise because the fire inside you is greater than the obstacles before you. Rise because you've come too far to let doubt win now. God is rekindling your strength, restoring your passion, and reigniting your vision. What you thought was the end is about to become the most impactful chapter of your story. You are still a vessel of purpose, still a carrier of divine potential. The world needs the version of you that is on fire again, bold, believing, and full of faith. Don't let comfort keep you where God is trying to move you from. Don't let age tell you that your time has passed when heaven is declaring, now is the time. There's still more inside you, more to do, more to give, more to live. Rise, rekindle, and release, because what God placed in you is still alive, still powerful, and still destined to change lives. You are still breathing because God's assignment in you is not yet complete. And that means there's still another level of glory waiting to be revealed through your life. Every day you wake up is another opportunity to partner with heaven in fulfilling what was written about you before you were even born. You're not living by accident. You're living by appointment. There's a divine reason you made it through what others didn't. Every trial that tried to take you out failed because purpose refused to die inside of you. You are still here because God's plan for you is still unfolding, and the story isn't unfinished until He says it is. So don't let the enemy convince you that your time is over. God doesn't put expiration dates on His promises. He fulfills them in His timing. Sometimes it takes a lifetime of lessons to prepare you for a single moment of destiny. Every hardship, every heartbreak, Every battle you've faced has been preparation. You've been in training for decades, trained to endure, trained to believe, trained to trust when you couldn't see the way. And now God is ready to use everything you've learned to impact lives, to break cycles, and to set captives free. When you look back over your life, you can see that the hand of God never left you. Even when you felt unseen, you were being developed. Even when doors closed, you were being redirected. Even when you lost things, you were being refined. Those moments that looked like endings were really transitions. God was never subtracting from your life. He was making room for something greater. He was pruning you so you could bear more fruit in this season. That's why you're still breathing, because the harvest He planted in you years ago is about to come forth. You've got to understand that your existence is evidence of your assignment. Breath is God's confirmation that there is still more for you to do. You are carrying divine blueprints that no one else can execute. There are people only you can reach because of where you've been and what you've overcome. There are hearts waiting to be healed by the love that flows from your life. You are not a leftover, you are a living legacy. Every time you take a breath, you testify that purpose outlasts pain, that calling is stronger than circumstance, and that God's grace is greater than time. Don't let age silence your assignment. You've got experience, insight, and resilience that this world desperately needs. You've seen God's faithfulness too many times to doubt Him now. This is not the time to slow down. It's the time to step forward with confidence. You're not running out of time. Time is running to catch up with the promise God made over you. You're not too late. You're right on schedule. Every moment that breath passes through your body, heaven is declaring, keep moving, keep believing, keep building. So take that breath and use it for His glory. Speak life into your dreams. Again, pray like your prayers still matter, because they do. Walk like your steps still carry purpose, because they do. Love like your heart still has something to give, because it does. As long as there's breath in your body, there's destiny in motion. Don't waste another day questioning why you're still here. You're here because God still needs you to be. You're here because there's still an impact to make, still a soul to reach, still a difference to leave behind. Every breath you take is an assignment reminder from heaven, a whisper that says, I'm not done with you yet. So breathe with purpose, breathe with faith, breathe with expectation. Because as long as you're breathing, God is still writing through you, still speaking through you, still working through you. You are still part of the divine plan, alive, anointed, and appointed for such a time as this. This is your revival season. You may have felt overlooked, forgotten, or slowed down by life, but this is the moment where God begins to breathe new strength into your spirit. The same power that raised Jesus from the dead is awakening something inside of you right now. You are not retired. You are being refired. The flame may have dimmed, but it was never extinguished. God is stirring the embers of your purpose, reigniting your vision, and calling you back into motion. What seemed like a quiet season was never the end. It was preparation for a divine relaunch. You are about to move in a power you've never known before, because now you've got experience, endurance, and wisdom backing your faith. You may not move as fast as you once did, but you move with precision. You've learned to listen for the voice of God instead of the noise of the crowd. You've learned to wait for His timing instead of rushing ahead. You've learned to depend not on your own strength, but on His Spirit. That's why this new season will be greater, because it's not about what you can do. It's about what God will do through you. This time, you're not striving, you're flowing. You're not chasing, you're aligning. You're not questioning, you're trusting. The fire that's being reignited in you isn't wild and uncontrolled. It's focused, refined, and unstoppable. This revival isn't about starting something new. It's about finishing something strong. You've carried promises for years, and God is saying, now is the time. What you planted in prayer long ago is about to break through the soil. What you've been waiting on in faith is about to manifest. The tears you've cried have watered the very ground where your blessing is about to grow. Every seed of faith you've sown in hidden seasons is about to produce visible fruit. You may have thought your influence was fading, but it's expanding. You may have thought your purpose was shrinking, but it's maturing. God has been restoring your strength while you rested. He's been rebuilding your confidence while you healed. He's been renewing your vision while you prayed. You may not have realized it, but the wilderness you walked through was reviving your spiritual muscles. Every no was building your endurance. Every delay was deepening your dependence. Every setback was setting you up for a supernatural comeback. And now heaven is declaring, it's time to rise. This is not the end of your journey. It's the unveiling of your greatest chapter. You're walking into a season where your voice will carry new authority, where your prayers will shake things in the spirit, and where your presence will shift atmospheres. You're not just surviving anymore, you're reviving others through your resilience. You are a walking testimony that God still uses those who remain faithful, that his promises don't expire, and that his power doesn't weaken with age. So let that fire burn again. Let your faith rise higher. Speak life over yourself and over everything connected to you. Don't let fear tell you that your time has passed. It hasn't. Don't let doubt convince you that you have nothing left to give. You have more now than ever. Every lesson, every scar, every victory has prepared you for this moment. You are stepping into divine momentum. The dreams that once felt distant are now within reach. The prayers you whispered in pain are about to become your songs of praise. You are not a product of what you lost. You are the result of what you survived. You carry the fire of endurance, the oil of experience, and the light of revelation. The world needs that light right now, so rise with boldness. Move forward with confidence. Live every day as a declaration that God's not finished with you. You've been refired by the Holy Spirit, reignited by grace, and repositioned by purpose. This is your time. This is your season. You're still breathing, still believing, and still burning for the glory of God. And that means the best is yet to come. Because if you're still breathing after 60, that's not survival. That's divine assignment still in motion. You didn't come this far just to exist. You came this far to expand what God started in you long ago. You've been preserved for a purpose that's bigger than your past and greater than your pain. You may look at yourself and see years, but heaven looks at you and sees legacy. You see wrinkles. God sees wisdom. You see time passing. God sees his plan unfolding. You're not living on borrowed time. You're living on appointed time. Every day you wake up, heaven whispers, I'm still working through you. There's a reason you survived what others couldn't. There's a reason why every setback didn't destroy you. You have endured seasons that were meant to break you. And yet, here you are, stronger, wiser, more grounded in faith. That's not survival. That's divine strategy. God kept you because he still wants to reveal his glory through your life. He didn't allow you to live through all that loss, disappointment, and struggle for it to end in silence. No, you're the proof that he redeems time, that he restores what was lost, and that he still works through surrendered hearts no matter the age. You are walking evidence that God's grace sustains. Think about it. How many times did you say, I can't do this anymore? And yet you did. How many nights did you cry and still found strength to face the morning? How many times did life knock you down, but you refused to stay there? That's not coincidence. That's calling. You've been tested so that your life could testify. You've been through the fire so that others could see what faith looks like when it refuses to give up. You've been carried by grace so that now In this season, you can carry others. Every gray hair represents wisdom earned, not years lost. Every line on your face tells a story of perseverance and prayer. You have lived through decades of change. But one thing has remained constant: God's hand on your life. And that same hand that guided you through your past is still guiding you into your future. You're not standing at the end of the road. You're standing at the beginning of a new one. You may not know exactly what lies ahead, but you can trust that it's filled with divine purpose. Now is not the time to shrink back. It's the time to rise into the fullness of who you've become. You're not who you used to be. You're better, stronger, wiser. You've seen too much to doubt now. You've prayed too long to give up now. God didn't keep you alive to watch the world go by. He kept you alive to change it. One act of obedience, one word of encouragement, one prayer of faith at a time. Your impact doesn't have to be loud to be lasting. It just has to be faithful. This is your era of overflow, not of business, but of fruitfulness. You've planted seeds for years. Now it's time to see the harvest. You've prayed for others. Now it's time to see prayers answered. You've been faithful in small things. Now God is trusting you with greater. What you thought was a delay was actually divine development. You've been prepared for such a time as this. So when people look at you and ask, how are you still standing? You can smile and say, because God's not done. When they wonder how you still have hope after everything you've faced, tell them, because I know the author of my story isn't finished writing yet. You are still part of God's unfolding plan. A living testimony that purpose doesn't fade. It flourishes with time. So walk boldly, live fully, and love deeply. Every step you take, every word you speak, every breath you breathe is evidence that heaven's agenda is still alive in you. You are not a relic of the past. You are a vessel for the future. As long as there's breath in your body, there's destiny in your spirit. You are living proof that when God says, I'm not done, nothing and no one can stop what He's about to do through you. Keep going. Don't stop now. Don't let the weight of years or the whispers of doubt convince you that your best days are behind you. Every step you've taken, every breath you've breathed has been leading you to this moment. God's not through with you yet. He's only just beginning a new chapter. You've walked through valleys, climbed mountains, endured heartbreaks, and experienced victories. And through it all, His hand has never left you. The fact that you're still here means your story isn't finished. It's just unfolding in ways you can't yet see. You may feel like time has slipped away, like opportunities have passed, but God doesn't operate on deadlines. He operates on destiny. What He started in you decades ago is still alive. You are not behind. You are right where you're supposed to be. Every season you've lived through has built something in you: patience, resilience, compassion, and unshakable faith. You've been through enough to understand that sometimes the delay is the development. You've learned to trust His silence, to walk by faith and not by sight, and to keep believing even when nothing makes sense. Those are the qualities God uses in people He's preparing for greater things. You have no idea how many people are watching your life and finding courage because you're still standing. You've become a silent sermon of endurance, a living example of what it means to walk with God through both storms and sunshine. When others see you, they see consistency, faith, and strength, the kind that can only come from a heart anchored in God. You may not say much, but your perseverance speaks louder than words. Just by continuing to show up, you're inspiring someone else not to give up. Don't ever think your presence doesn't matter. The atmosphere changes when you walk into a room because you carry peace. People feel hope when they hear your voice because it carries wisdom. Even your prayers, the quiet ones you think no one hears, are moving mountains in the spirit. You've learned how to pray with power, not because of eloquence, but because of experience. You've learned that prayer isn't just asking, it's trusting, surrendering, aligning with heaven. And that kind of prayer still shakes the earth. So keep going, not in your own strength, but in God's. Keep speaking life where others see death. Keep loving where others have grown cold. Keep believing even when it feels impossible. There are promises still waiting to manifest, and God's not finished fulfilling them. You might be in a waiting season, but waiting doesn't mean wasting. It means you're being positioned. Every day that passes is another piece of the puzzle coming together in divine timing. You're not walking toward the end. You're walking toward fulfillment. You're not losing relevance. You're gaining revelation. You're not slowing down. You're deepening your impact. There are still lives that will be changed because of your obedience. There are still hearts that will be healed because of your words. There are still prayers that will be answered because of your faith. God hasn't run out of ways to use you. He's just getting ready to reveal new ones. So lift your head, steady your heart, and keep pressing forward. Don't let fear make you forget what God has already done. If He brought you through before, He'll bring you through again. If He used you before, He'll use you again. If He blessed you before, He'll bless you again. Because His character doesn't change with age, and His promises don't expire with time. Keep going because someone needs to see what endurance looks like. Keep going because your life is proof that faith still works. Keep going because your story is far from over. You're still here, still chosen, still anointed, still alive for a reason. The breath in your lungs